wkrn.com alert as Metro Police locate a stolen vehicle with a man inside and the car keys around his neck. The man taken into custody, Jeffrey Crow, admits to police he was given the keys. Police responded to Clarksville Pike for a report of a stolen car. The car was taken during a burglary on Nolensville Pike. Police helicopters were able to follow the vehicle to Arthur Drive, where it stopped. That's when officers approached the car and found Crow with the keys around his neck. Officers also found around $3,000 worth of vehicle scanners and other equipment inside of the car. And remember, News 2 brings you breaking news around the clock at wkrn.com.
Metro Police blame the hole in this Family Dollar on a woman who drove her truck throughout the store while looking for her boyfriend. According to police, the couple argued outside of the store in North Nashville on Clifton Avenue. Then Tasha Bradley drove through the store reportedly looking for him. Police booked her on charges, including attempted murder.
A man is facing homicide charges after a deadly shooting near downtown Sunday. Metro Police arrested 44-year-old Reed Marshall Jr. after the shooting on Representative John Lewis Way South. Detectives say the surveillance video shows Marshall and Cedric Yarbrough getting into a fight before Marshall pulled out a gun. Yarbrough died a short time later. Marshall is also facing unrelated drug charges. A man from California in trouble with the law here in Tennessee after officers uncovered a massive drug trafficking organization. Police say Jalen Arjona was helping move all of this, which is thousands of fentanyl pills. The investigation lasted months, and during that time, there were 3 shipments of fentanyl pills through the U.S. mail. Arjona allegedly came to Murfreesboro to collect payment for the pills. He also had cocaine he planned to sell, and he's facing multiple charges. Well, Sarah Fuson, the daughter of Montgomery County Sheriff John Fuson, was scheduled to make her first court appearance this morning. She's charged with 2 counts of child abuse stemming from an incident at a local daycare. But her arraignment ended up being a brief interaction between her attorney and the judge. News 2's Nikki McGee was in the courtroom and brings us more.
Well, I'm here outside of the Tylertown Learning Center in Clarksville, where DHS documents show a child was severely injured back in January. Now, we did reach out to the daycare, which tells us the employee investigated for that was immediately terminated. This morning, we showed up for Sarah Fuson's first court appearance to get her side of the story. However, Sarah wasn't there.
Monday morning, several new details surfacing in the case of Sarah Fuson, the daughter of Montgomery County Sheriff John Fuson. The 22-year-old was indicted last month after she was accused of child abuse and endangerment, stemming from an incident at a Clarksville daycare that left a child under 8 with bruises and marks. Today, for the first time, we heard from Sarah's attorney, Peter Stryance.
We will waive a formal reading of the indictment and her pleas of not guilty to each and every count in which she is named.
Judge William Goodman also indicated he planned to recuse himself from the case, but didn't say exactly why. Sarah Fuson is due back in court for a status hearing on June 1st. In Clarksville, Nikki McGee, News 2.
We're following a breaking news alert. 2 teens are now charged after a string of car burglaries in the Hermitage area. Lake Easton is at the wkrn.com alert desk with the details.
Good morning to you, Nicole. Yeah, police believe they made a huge dent in vehicle burglaries there after the arrest of these 2 18-year-olds. This story is crazy, so go with us for a second here. One is 18-year-old Chris Winters. Police say his co-defendant, Alicia McKnight, is expected to be rearrested this week. This began when police spotted a black Kia Sorento on Saturday that matched the description of a stolen car. Police tried to stop the Kia, which they presume Winters to be driving. They didn't stop and led police on a 19-minute pursuit that hit speeds over 120 miles per hour. The Kia pulled into an apartment complex on East Nocturne Drive where 4 people, including Winters and McKnight, jumped out and ran. Police say Winters then got into a parked Nissan Altima and while at gunpoint started driving and struck an officer. Winters eventually crashed and after a brief foot chase was arrested. Both are facing a long list of charges. For breaking news around the clock, you could always go to wkrn.com. I'm Blake Easton at the wkrn.com alert desk. Detectives in Murfreesboro need your help looking for a person of interest in an attempted theft case. Let's show you the new surveillance videos we're getting now. This happened last Tuesday. They say an unidentified man was seen getting out of his vehicle and attempting to break into the Grand Slam Collectibles on Northwest Broad Street. He was driving a gray Toyota Corolla. Authorities say he used a crowbar to break the glass there. Now, after being unsuccessful, he then gets back into the car and attempts to leave. If you know who this person is, you should give Murfreesboro police a call. For breaking news around the clock, you can always go to wkrn.com.
Following a breaking news alert now, a man wanted for murder in Tennessee was captured in Florida. Blake Eason is at the wkrn.com alert desk with the details.
Hey, good morning to you, Kelly. After being on the run for over a year, authorities say the Lincoln County man wanted for the attempted murder of his girlfriend is now behind bars. Police found 37-year-old Jesse Suggs in Walton County early this morning. Deputies received a tip about him being at a home in the area. U.S. Marshals and several other agencies assisted with this effort. Our sister station at News 19 spoke with Crystal Shannon last month, who told them that Suggs nearly beat her to death and continued to threaten her while he was on the run. Suggs was taken into the Walton County Jail and will wait there for extradition back to Tennessee. For breaking news around the clock, you can always go to wkrn.com.
A man was shot to death over the weekend near downtown Nashville, and police have arrested the person they say did it. Police arrested 44-year-old Reed Marshall Jr. after the shooting on Representative John Lewis Way South on Saturday. Detectives say surveillance video shows Marshall and another man getting into a fight before Marshall pulled out a gun and fired. The victim died a short time later. Marshall is also facing unrelated drug charges now.
Now, tracking crime, a 14-year-old is under arrest after law enforcement say he stole a school bus. They say he drove it onto I-40 West after taking it from Kipp College Prep and nearly running someone over. When Metro officers deployed a spike strip, he stopped on the interstate and tried to turn around. That's when officers broke the glass out of the bus door. The teen tried to keep driving, so officers used a taser before arresting him. He is booked on multiple counts at juvenile court.
Yeah, Nikki, police say the evidence they've gathered, including journals, maps, and a suicide note, lead them to believe that the tragedy at the Covenant School was planned for months. Investigators have not determined a motive for the shooting, but they are releasing those new details found inside a Brightwood Avenue home where 28-year-old Audrey Hale lived with their parents. There, police say they found 2 shotguns, 30 journals, some with references to school shootings and firearm courses, a psychiatric medical folder, 5 Covenant School yearbooks, and the suicide note. We also know through Metro Police that Hale was a former student at the Covenant School and was reportedly under doctor's care for an emotional disorder. We're told 152 rounds were fired inside the school by the shooter. Metro Police say 8 rounds were fired by the 2 officers who fatally shot Hale. And while we don't know this shooter's motive, ABC's Homeland Security analyst says mass casualty attacks often have common themes, including behavioral cues by people who feel disconnected from society and feel angry or feel they've been treated unfairly by society.
So what do? We have to do a better job educating members of the community. What are the warning signs? When someone they know, someone they may love, are exhibiting behaviors of concern that could indicate that they are traveling down the path of violence. Second, we have to build capacity at the local level. And finally, local communities have to have the tools to decrease the risk posed by these individuals.
The analyst says that these tools include better education on behavioral warning signs, as well as intervention from law enforcement and mental health professionals. Everything written by the shooter is still under investigation by Metro Police and the FBI. Reporting in Nashville, Peyton Kennedy, News 2.
I'm Allie Lynch at the wkrn.com alert desk. A man seen driving erratically on Broadway passes police barricade. Officers with his car eventually crashes into another vehicle. Now, officers first spotted the car speeding on 2nd Avenue downtown, plowing past a police barricade, which was blocking traffic from entering Broadway. Officers on foot attempted to stop the vehicle. That's when the driver tried to hit those officers with his car. Marked cars with sirens tried to pull the driver over. However, the suspect crashed into another car, injuring that driver. Officers then searched the suspect's car, finding marijuana. He was then taken into custody.
It is the first federal report on U.S. gun crimes in 20 years, and the findings might be surprising. Thanks to the ATF, we are learning more about where guns used in crimes originally come from, and also the ripple effect that follows when weapons get into the wrong hands. News 2's Tori Gessner explains.
When a firearm is used to commit a crime, it becomes what law enforcement calls a crime gun. But when it's recovered from a scene, it's not always clear who bought the weapon. According to the ATF, more than half the time, it's not the same person who used it.
Everyone should be concerned about all of these loose guns out here.
Clemmy Greenlee is a community activist who sees firsthand how legally purchased guns get into criminals' hands. More than 1 million guns were reported stolen between 2017 to 2021, according to the ATF. Almost 270 guns have been taken from cars in Nashville so far this year. Those weapons could be used to commit crimes down the road.
If I have allowed my gun to be somewhere unsafe and somebody got hold to it, a 12-year-old, 13-year-old, and they went and committed a crime, I'm just as guilty as they are.
The ATF's data also says more 18 to 24-year-olds guns are being used in crimes, up 3% from 2019 to 2020. During that same time, fewer guns were traced back to those in the 35 and older category. Regardless of who bought the firearm, the gun violence that could follow has become a public health crisis.
Firearms are the leading cause of death for kids and in Tennessee and the United States. And so wherever the firearm is coming from, it's a huge issue.
I always call it a bloody summer. It's going to be a triple bloody summer if we don't get hold to these young people with these guns.
The ATF data also says privately made firearms or ghost guns, which cannot be traced, are being used more in crimes as well. To read all this data, look for this story on wkrn.com.
Audrey Hale acted alone in the murder of 6 innocent people inside the Covenant School. That and other new disturbing details revealed today. Thank you for watching News 2 at 4. I'm Mark Kelly. Police say Audrey Hale's writings, which filled a dozen journals, show months and months of careful planning. That so-called manifesto is at the FBI's Behavioral Analysis Unit in Quantico, Virginia. Metro Police's investigation into the shooting itself shows Hale fired a total of 152 rounds from the time she shot her way into the school until officers killed her. 126 rounds come from the rifle, the other 26 from the handgun. Today, News 2 obtained one of the search warrants from the Brightwood Avenue home where Hale lived with her parents. Adam Mincer is at the wkrn.com alert desk with details of what investigators seized. Adam.
Mark, according to this warrant, the search took place just a few hours after the mass shooting on March 27th. Most of the warrant focuses on what officers found inside the bedrooms of the home. That includes 2 shotguns, one in a bedroom closet, another next to a desk. Investigators also took 30 journals, some with references to school shootings and firearms courses, and a suicide note was found on a desk in one of the bedrooms. Investigators also seized 5 Covenant School yearbooks from the home, and of note, we now know Audrey Hale's birthday was just 3 days before the shooting. Mark?
This morning, the TBI has arrested a doctor for attempted arson in West Tennessee. Earlier this week, firefighters found that someone tried to set fire to the family care clinic in Gibson County. Investigation led to the arrest of Dr. Misty Allen, who worked at the clinic. TBI has not released a motive, but say that Allen is charged with attempted arson now.
In minutes, officers swarm the school, and a staff member tells them what she knows.
2 kids that we don't know where they are. They should be honed in on the circumstances there and listening to the information, and apparently they did.
Retired THP Colonel Mike Walker spent decades in law enforcement. Watching the body camera video, he says their first goal was to clear the ground floor, room by room.
They were going in to ensure there weren't any people in there, or the shooter might be there, and then they kept moving.
With those classrooms cleared, the 5 officers head upstairs toward the gunfire.
They're going to be going. They're going to be going and shooting as they go, and that's what they did. If you look at that video, they're shooting as they're moving in.
In just minutes, they are face to face with the shooter. Walker says at this moment, the officers followed their training to a T. Shoot until the threat is gone.
This situation, there was still movement and even reaching toward the weapon. So yes, they're going to shoot until that threat's eliminated.
Walker says that Nashville's response could not have been more different than the Uvalde shooting, where officers waited and 21 people were killed. He says that our officers deserve high praise.
You don't hesitate. Uvalde is a prime example of failure, and that did not occur in metropolitan Nashville. They did exactly what they were trained to do, and did it in the proper manner.
Mark Kelly, News 2.
Now to the investigation, what police have learned about the killer, Audrey Hale. Allie Lynch is live outside the school with a look at what Metro Police have told us so far.
Well, good morning, Neil. Yeah, questions continue to swirl this morning around this mass shooting here at the Covenant School, with investigators still trying to determine the cause behind this attack that killed 6 victims. Now, here's what we know this morning. This is all from Metro Police Chief John Drake. Hale, who police identified as the shooter, had bought 7 firearms, including the 3 guns used in the attack, legally at 5 different stores here in Nashville. Hale's parents, who lived with the shooter, told police Hale was under a doctor's care for an emotional disorder. The shooter also had detailed maps drawn of the school that identified entry points. The police stressed that they believe that the school and its church had been a target, not any single person. Police say Hale attended the Covenant School at one point.
I mean, mass shooters tend to build up, sometimes over weeks, months, and even years, their anger and hostility and sort of revenge that kicks in. And they get to a point where basically all of the ills in their life, whatever they might be, are somebody else's fault. And then they start from that point sort of distorting that, you know, who has caused me harm? Who needs to be punished? And they get to a point where they are justified in their own mind to go and commit these shootings.
Now, Metro Police say the shooter had no previous criminal history. Again, authorities are still working to determine a motive. Reporting live this morning in Green Hills, Allie Lynch, News 2.
I'm Blake Easton at the wkrn.com alert desk. One man was booked into jail after an argument in the car led to a shooting on a busy East Nashville street. Early Tuesday morning, Metro Police responded to Hart Lane in response to 2 people shot. When they arrived, they found 1 person with life-threatening injuries and 1 was shot in the leg. Also on the scene, police say Justin Wakefield admitted to the shooting. Wakefield was interviewed by police, and he told them that he and the 2 victims were driving around. An argument transpired. They stopped the car on Hart Lane. Wakefield attempted to walk away before one of the victims swung a punch. That's when police say Wakefield returned with gunfire. He's booked on an attempted criminal homicide charge. For breaking news around the clock, you can always go to wkrn.com.
Police say the shooter conducted surveillance of the school building before the attack. New evidence we got today gives a timeline of what the shooter did leading up to the shooting, from the moment they left home to their death. Here's News 2's Maya Owens.
Monday morning began like any other, that is, until Audrey Hale left home on Brightwood Avenue with a red bag around 9:30 in the morning. Police detailing the conversation Hale had with her mother just before leaving.
I think she just dismissed it because it was a motherly thing and didn't look in the bag because at the time she didn't know that her daughter had any weapons and didn't think any differently.
Before the shooting, the 28-year-old sent Instagram messages to a former basketball teammate. ABC News spoke with Paige Patton, who claims Hale referenced plans to die, saying in one message, quote, "This is my last goodbye." The last message, something bad is about to happen. Forgive me.
It's just so much to feel, you know, just this and then the kids and then the families. It's a lot to try to wrap your head around, you know.
At 9:46, license plate reader cameras then picking up Hale's next movements. Here, Hale's vehicle is seen on Harding Pike and Inquirer. Just 2 minutes later at 9:48, another Belle Meade LPR camera spots the 28-year-old driving her Honda Fit east at Harding Place in Linwood. 5 minutes later at 9:53, Hale pulled up to the school. Using a gun to gain entry, wearing what looks like a protective vest. Hale armed with 2 assault-type guns and a pistol.
Church and the school are in one building. She entered on the lower floor. There were shots fired on the lower floor before she went to the upper level.
Minutes later, children rushed out of the school looking for safety.
I think I heard at least maybe 10 to 15 shots.
Standing in the middle of the road, these images capturing children running for their lives.
We just heard gunshots right before that. as these kids are coming out. I didn't know if people were going to shoot at us or at the kids. So the other drivers just quickly helped usher them across the road.
One woman living across the street rushed to help.
And no one knew what was going on, but it looked like everything you see on TV that you think won't happen in your neighborhood, but you know it might because it happens everywhere. It looked like a school shooting.
At 10:13, first responders received a shots fired call. And just minutes later, police arrive on the scene.
On the property, there were police cars being hit by gunfire. The suspect was in an upper level.
Body camera footage from Officer Rex Engelbert and Officer Michael Colazzo showing the next tense moments.